Since the age of 3, I have been an active person. Whether this was dance, volleyball, basketball, badminton, baseball, rugby, going for a run, a hike, or working out, I have always strived to stay active. Over the years, I have personally found many benefits when engaging in different sports and activities. Moving my body improved my day-to-day life. However, with spending 18 years in school, we all know that movement is not a priority. The majority of my movement throughout the years came from extracurriculars on my own time. School days have never prioritized movement. We all know that the vast majority of school entails students sitting at a desk, working from a textbook, while trying to drill the curriculum into the students' minds. But what if I told you today that this type of learning is actually hindering students' abilities to fully learn and reach their full potentials? Throughout my time within classrooms, I have noticed a majority of things, but one of the main realizations is that I cannot sit still. On top of this, I cannot stay focused. With being in university, some classes have students sitting for 2 to 3 hours listening to a lecture. I have personally found these 2 to 3 hour lectures to be quite difficult. I would lose motivation to continue taking notes, my focus on the lesson would quickly turn to me scrolling on my phone, and all I wanted to do was get out of my chair and move my body. I would always think to myself that something was wrong with me. Why do other students appear to be fine while I am struggling to make it through these lectures? Well, the truth is, I most definitely wasn't alone, feeling the things I was feeling. Here you can view an image of a brain. On the right side you can see what the mind looks like without exercise, most likely sitting doing nothing. You can see not a lot is going on. On the left side we can view a brain that has been exercised through movement. We now see that the brain has a lot of activity in many areas. This is because movement is like cognitive candy for the brain. Without movement, we are not providing our brains with sufficient blood flow. Without movement, we are not sufficiently releasing the necessary chemicals from the brain that aids in learning. Without movement, we are actually hindering students' abilities to learn. The truth is, movement and learning are connected. The area of the brain that processes learning is actually the same area of the brain that processes movement. In order for students to learn, they need to move. When we move our bodies, our brain releases 4 main chemicals, which include dopamine, cortisol, serotonin, and endorphins. These 4 chemicals are critical to learning. The chemical serotonin helps regulate students' moods. This can aid in regulating stress and anxiety in students. Endorphins and cortisol are 2 chemicals that can also reduce anxiety and stress, as they aid in lowering and fighting against stress. And lastly, we have dopamine, a chemical that plays a key role in motivation. Without motivation, students cannot remain focused on a task at hand. If students are provided the opportunity to move throughout class, this will enable these 4 chemicals to travel through students' brains and allow for them to be in a better, more positive, and concentrated state of mind. These 4 chemicals are just one of the many benefits to getting students moving in the classroom. Movement also helps to stimulate the hippocampus, which is a part of the brain that is associated with memory. By moving our bodies, the hippocampus becomes increasingly stimulated, which allows for the hippocampus to be more effective in storing information, as well as creating necessary neural connections that allow for quicker recall of information. On top of all this, movement stimulates the necessary neurons and electrical wiring that facilitates a child's ability to take in information and learn. The number of synaptic neural connections within the brain are increased through movement, facilitating greater learning. The last scientific fact I will provide for you today is the basic piece of information we all know, and that is, movement allows for increased blood flow to the brain, which means an increased amount of oxygen to our brains. By increasing blood flow to the brain, this creates neural pathways that allow students to more effectively recall information. As I mentioned at the start, students spend a majority of school sitting at a desk. After just 20 to 30 minutes of sitting, 80% of our blood pools to the hips. With the majority of the blood in our hips, this decreases our blood flow to our brains, causing learning to become more difficult. These are just some of the various reasons as to why it is so important that we are getting students moving. We need to be providing students with the opportunities to move and engage their minds. When providing students opportunities to move, creativity, memory, attention span, focus, mood, and self-worth will all increase. So I'm here today as a physical education teacher candidate to express the importance of providing students the opportunity to move during class by providing movement breaks. Movement breaks are breaks from classwork which enables all students within the classroom to move their bodies. There are a variety of activities that can be conducted during movement breaks, such as Simon Says, Make It Rain, mirroring, follow along dance videos, and human rock, paper, scissors, just to name a few. No matter the activity, it is important to know that through movement breaks, we are increasing our students' ability to learn and providing our students with the best tools and skills to reach their fullest potential as learners, which is our job as teachers. I wish I could go back and tell myself that it wasn't my fault I could not pay attention. I wish back then I understood the importance of movement to my learning. But this is in the past, and what is important is that we are changing the future. I hope teachers become educated on the importance of incorporating movement in their classrooms so we can change the future for learners. We need to get students moving. Thank you.